Hello and welcome. My name is Lynn, and I have an unboxing of a Papercraft Society box kit. This one is curated or designed by Lou Collins, who releases under the brand Textures. And I've already opened everything and sort of reconfigured so that I can fit as much as possible into the folio wallet. But there's a lot in this box that's different and unusual, as you can maybe already tell, and some items just don't fit in the wallet. So we have here, well, let me get into this because all of this might make more sense in context of what's in here. And the folio wallet is fantastic. It's got 3 different pockets, and we have a booklet that tells you what all comes in this kit. There's a bit of I think an interview with the designer, so you can have a little bit of an introduction of who they are, what inspired the box. And I love that the Papercraft Society box kits are coming with a lot of different supplies. I think in the past, it's been a little bit I want to say formulaic, but not in a bad way, just in a very predictable way where you would get, stamps, dies, papers, and then ink cubes. And I super miss the ink cubes because I think the quality of those ink cubes were really fantastic. I actually wrote into customer support asking if they would ever consider selling them individually because I would love to buy more colors. They don't, but that seemed to be sort of the standard. And nowadays we're getting a lot of different materials, different things to actually craft with besides your inks. And so while I do miss the inks, it's really kind of nice to see all of these different items. So this particular craft kit, which I feel like Lou Collins with under the Textures brand has brought us some pretty fun, unique, different styles of paper crafting. I remember she did a box that was paper quilling, and that did come with some specialty tools and different items as well. And this one is all about stitching. And to be honest, most of the stitching style of dies that I'm familiar with anyways have come from spellbinders, and so it's kind of nice to see and maybe there are other brands out there. Certainly there's a lot of brands I'm not familiar with, but it's kind of nice to see other brands pick up on this trend as well. And basically stitching dies don't necessarily always have to involve stitching if you don't want. You can definitely, I think I've seen Crafter's Companion do a stitching collection too. But so that's besides the point. So what you will often see with stitching style designs is the pierced holes. That's sort of your first indicator that this can be, the design can be augmented with some stitching. And so what's cool is that this particular set, I feel, is very unique in a couple of ways. One, the die plate that cuts the piercings for you to do the stitching, it's a separate die plate from the outside cutting edge. So you could use this flower die, the outside cutting edge, by itself and not have any stitched design at all. And that would be lovely because it's a well-formed outline die. It's very clearly a flower design, and you could maybe layer that up and even create 3D flowers from it. So you get that in this size and style, and you get it in this size as well, and you get it in individual leaves, or this could be an individual petal of a flower. So you have it in those different ways with or without the piercings for your stitching design. But then you also get these really cool dies that only, again, cut that pierced design, and you get it in a variety of different shapes. And so you could just cut pierced designs into your card, and then just stitch directly into like your card front, for example. Or if you didn't want to use this particular design where the piercing detail is a border detail, you could, I think this one you could use in this space here and get a different design where you have the pierced dot detail going all the way around like a single petal. And so that might be something interesting to play with. And then there's these different patterns as well as this one here, which is just a double row of pierced dot design, which you can just cut into your card as a decorative, just a little subtle design. These can be used as flight paths for your butterflies. These might just be little a fun way just to do little spiral or little flower designs on your card, where you stitch from the center to each of the dots on the outside of the circle to kind of create like little spokes, you know? So you have those in two different sizes. You could use a circle die to actually cut this out if you wanted to lay that on top of the center of this design. So there's just a lot of different things that you can do with this, and it's kind of interesting, kind of fun, and just something a little bit different. And then besides this really large decorative butterfly, which has a separate body, you do get this more this smaller, more intricate butterfly as well. And then you get the silhouette butterflies, which you can cut as just like an aperture into your card, or just use so that you have it in this nice pattern, or you can die cut this and then just use the positives and put that on your card as well. And then you have two or a set of word dies, so you have fly as one word and high as another, and so combined it spells out fly high. And then you have the a third die that is the shadow or the bubble layer behind the full sentiment. So you've got those lovely sentiment and the word dies to go along with it. And behind here, this is just some foam. It's maybe 2 millimeters thick, and you could use it as foam for like shaker cards and adding dimension. Just put some adhesive on it. But what it is meant to be used for is a different technique that is actually shared in the project booklet. And so there is this huge stack of vellum. And the reason for that is that there's an embossing technique that is to emboss a pattern. You could use your dies as the template for the shapes. And then here's where some of the tools start to come into play. So there are some ball stylus tools. This one, I probably have something similar in this size. So on both ends, there's different size metal balls that give you just different effects. And you could do a lot of flower forming with a ball stylus tool like this. A ball stylus tool like this that has smaller, finer points are great for maybe embossing and drawing out different patterns. And when you emboss your vellum, it breaks the vellum fibers, and it makes it actually turn white, whatever the design is. And so you can emboss with your just plain, standard embossing folders, or you can use a stylus to emboss that pattern. So I think that's pretty cool. So let me just I don't usually flip through this, but I just wanted to kind of show um, that you're gonna get some techniques here for how to do that technique of embossing your vellum. And there's actually stencils, so you can stencil with your inks, but you could use your stencils as a template for embossing patterns with your ball stylus onto vellum. And so it's just different. It's just a fun, different technique, just something a little bit unusual. You're gonna get lots of vellum. This technique is pretty new to me. I've embossed with an embossing folder. I've never embossed using a stencil and onto vellum. And so I love how generous they've been with the vellum sheets, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sheets of vellum, pretty thick vellum at that, thicker than what I have in my stash. So really fantastic. Lots and lots of vellum, so you can really have a good play and practice if you need. I think I'll need to, because it's a new technique to me. Then on top of that, we still get our paper colored cardstock, but this is not solid color cardstock. There's actually an ombre from light to dark. So we're not getting pattern papers per se, because we're getting so much vellum, but we are getting something a little bit fun and special and unique, not just your regular solid color cardstock. And this is double-sided, so white core, nice lightweight cardstock. I would say maybe 65-pound or so, and you got ombres in these really lovely kind of pastel colors, so blue, purple, pink, and like a minty green. And then there's 2 sheets of really thick white cardstock that could be your card bases as well. These sheets are A5 in size, so half of a A4 sheet. And then I've already shown the stencils, but maybe they'll come up a little bit better. See how nice? So these are half of an A5. Maybe they'll show up a little bit better against a darker cardstock. So this one's nice. You can just cut your A5 in half and stencil these patterns right onto them and get that really lovely border frame design. And then you can just stamp your sentiment or maybe die cut a shape as a topper to finish up your card. And the stencils are great. You can stencil as you normally would with your inks and your different media supplies, but I'll be curious to really try it on the vellum and have a good play with that technique. And then there is a stamp set that goes along with, and lots of sentiments on here. Some of them are kind of long and I think would really be great as verse sentiments on the inside. So if nothing ever changed, there would be no butterflies. Birthday wishes and butterfly kisses. That could almost fit on the inside, I think, too. And then you get some lovely border designs, some nice flourishes if you wanted to kind of build up a little corner with the leaves and the little swirl flourish as well. So, nice little sections of border too. You could, they don't match necessarily, but I was going to say, because you could build up like a little sentiment box, kind of stamp it out 4 ways and build up your frame that way. So there's your stamp set. Really lovely. And then, of course, with the stitched dies, there's a lovely embroidery embroidery floss. And this feels, it's not branded, but it does feel like it's a nice soft quality. And usually with stitch dyes, you would take your embroidery floss. I'm not sure how they're gonna recommend to do it in the booklet, but normally your embroidery floss is 6 thin strands of thread that have been sort of wound, together, and to get nice, kind of thin design as you stitch through your card or your cardstock, you would only use like 2 or 3 threads. So you would cut a section off, however much you needed, and you would then separate, either 3 strands or 2 strands. So this this amount of embroidery floss is going to last like a really good long time, because there's quite a lot here. And these aren't sample sizes. If you went and bought like, skeins of embroidery floss, it looks like it would be about this amount. And here we're getting 6 different colors, 2 shades of green, a couple different shades for your flowers. This is really gorgeous. This is my favorite, teal, kind of turquoise. I think that's Lou Collins's favorite color too. I think I've heard her mention that. So that her kits always kind of jive with me, because so often they include like an aqua or a teal color in them. So really, really generous supply, especially since it does go a long ways in your stitching. And of course you can use it in your other embroidery projects as well. And so the I forgot, as I was mentioning all the vellum and the stenciling, that's what the foam is for, so that you can put the foam under your vellum, and as you're using your ball stylus to kind of push through on your stencil design here, it's pushing into something that's soft, so that vellum has somewhere soft to sink into, and that should give you like a deeper kind of impression as you stencil your design through there. And then we get in these little packets some additional little tools. So there's actually like a needle, not like a sewing needle. This is a little bit larger, but small enough to still fit through these holes, I presume. And it's got a really large eye here where you would thread your embroidery thread through. But then you have this tool that helps you thread your needle. So this just is really, really thin wire here, and that's easy to kind of slot through. And then you would put your thread through this that thin metal, and then just pull. See how easy it is? So it can be hard, especially with embroidery floss like this that has like multiple strands, especially if the edge is really frayed. It can be really hard to kind of fit that through the eye of your needle. But this tool, this little needle threader tool, is super, super handy for that. And so it's fantastic that they thought to include that in with the kit here. I think that's going to save a lot of time. Sometimes that's the hardest part, is threading your needle. And then let's see what's in here. I don't remember. Oh, okay, interesting. Little mini brads. These small ones are really great for card making. I often use the small ones like these for my reveal wheel cards, So they're nice because they are, the head isn't super dimensional, so they keep your card a little bit flatter. And then they're a little bit, because it's smaller diameter wise as well, they are a little easier to kind of hide if you are. I often use, when I use brads, I often don't like for them to be seen. So there's some mechanisms where you would want or need a brad, but then you would want to cover it in some way so that it's a little bit more inconspicuous on your card front. So there's that, and then there's a white wax pencil. I don't know exactly what this is for, and I don't know if you can use this as a white color pencil, but that's what the project booklet is for, so that you can actually read up on all of the different techniques that can be used with the supplies in this kit. So really, really fantastic to just have a little taster into something that's a little bit different and more than just sort of stamping and die cutting, because you can certainly use everything in that more sort of traditional way, but then you can also add something a little bit special with the embossed vellum, with the stitching. So kind of fun. And butterflies, I think you can use them all year long. So I think this is one that will be fun to kind of break out and use any time of year. When I craft with this, I will try to link to that specific project at the end of this video, but if I happen to forget that, I will definitely be adding any projects that I make using this kit to my Papercraft Society playlist, which will also be at the end of this video. So you can always check out that playlist for all of my projects where I craft with any of the Papercraft Society kits. Thanks so much for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!